Hi, Scuddy here, DemonDemon.com. I wonder how many of you guys recognise this here. It's Alta Vista. It's Alta Vista from prior to 2000. Alta Vista, Lycos, Yahoo, and several others were... do you remember Lycos, the one with the dog? I think it was. These were the search engines. These predate Google. These were where you went to rank. This is where I cut my teeth in search engine optimization. And I'm just going to make a little statement here that I'm talking specifically about search engine optimization here. There are many ways to drive traffic to your website. I'm on about specifically and only about raising your site's ranking for good keywords that are relevant to it in the search engines. Okay, that's all I'm talking about here. But in Alta Vista, well, there were ways of doing it. And the main way of doing it was you actually told the search engine what your site was about. I mean, that's what you did. The search engine had no idea. It was a quick fire bullet thing. The spider visited your site about once a week if you were lucky. It wasn't very thorough. The server power back then, 16, 17 years ago, was pretty weak. They certainly couldn't afford, even though the web was only 4% the size of what it is now, the costs of providing search engine services were prohibitive, and doing it worldwide was virtually, it was only just possible in the most limited of senses. So what it used to do was come to your site with its little crawler, and you used to tell it what your site was about with metadata, meta description, meta keywords, header tags, alt tags. That's what you did. Then it'd go away and it would believe you. You'd have this block of data at the top of your header page or any other page you wanted to rank with your HTML tags in there, and it would believe you. Then it decided pretty soon after, because people were telling little white lies, people were putting things in there that weren't actually true, that it would have a cursory look at your content. The days when keyword stuffing really meant keyword stuffing. Oh no, I've forgotten to put any text on this page, or have I? Have I? Let's have a look. Oh, hang on, the cursor's blinking. Oh, there seems to be text there. Hang on, maybe if I change it to another colour. Buy my stuff, stuff for sale, get stuff here, best stuff, offers, stuff, discounts, cheapest stuff, great stuff. Just stuff. Just stuff. You'd actually come to a website where they did this all around the text. You'd have the main text and then white, typically white on white or whatever the background colour. The text was written in the same background, and it was, I mean, Britney Spears in the late 90s was one. But all sorts of stuff was going on there, you know, mailing lists, whatever offers, and it was hidden there. So the user wasn't, who actually arrived on your site, wasn't dismayed by seeing this wall of rubbish text, because it was completely hidden from them. It was white text on a white background, or whatever colour text on the same colour background. But the search engines would read it. There you go, it's gone again. The search engines would read it, and they would take it, oh, blimey, this site, you know, to exist, this site's really got to be about stuff. And that worked for a while. Then Google came along, and they had this idea, and it was based on citation from peers and authority sites. And the way you would get this citation was through HTML links. And this is pretty much what they envisaged. This is a brief model of PageRank. It's not so much a linking structure, but it's Google. It's a model of how Google's PageRank works. Authority, transferring from site to site, and you know, PageRank was very, very important. It's decreased as a ranking factor. Don't confuse PageRank with SERPrank, but to begin with, they were pretty much the same thing, and PageRank sort of slipped down the ranking factors as years have gone by. But this is what Google envisaged. Sites would naturally gain links for their good content. Now, you'd think, wow, you know, if you've only come into SEO in the last 2 or 3 years, you'd think, well, that was naive of them, wasn't it? To think that would work. Well, here's the thing. There was no blogging, there was no commenting, very few forums had signature bars, Web 2.0 had not even been invented. There were no self-host platforms, you couldn't install your own wiki, WordPress, whatever, they didn't exist. Well, most of them didn't exist, and if they did, they were a ball ache to install, required specialist server knowledge to get going. You couldn't create links on other people's sites because there was nowhere to create them. The odd forum here and there allowed you to create a link, but for the most part there was nothing. There were no blogs with comment boxes at the bottom. There were no add your own articles to article sites. None of that existed. It didn't exist, and yet you needed links to rank. And what people said in about 2001 and 2002 is, this is the end of SEO. Oh, how we've heard that. And funnily enough, now they're saying that because it's the end of SEO because Google are getting smarter at working out spam links, which incidentally they barely are. Back then they were saying it's the end of SEO because Google had introduced links as a ranking factor at all. That's how much times change. People saying we can't get links. Why would authority links as our competitors give us a link? It just leeches authority from them and gives it to us. And so people rage quit. And for the early 2000s, in fact, after this sort of massive rage quit from SEO, not possible, it got a lot easier to rank because there was so much less competition. Then, of course, stuff happened. Mid-2000s, Web 2.0 was born, blogging was born, and automation was born. And we remember this, what Google wanted. This is what they wanted. This is what they got. Generic. And it was link rings to start off with. This is a link pyramid. This is the sort of thing where people could create their own links. This is several years after. And Google, again, with a delay of years, literally a delay of years, they finally decided to look at content, and content marketing was born. Now, 2010 to 2012, content goes from having virtually no ranking importance, and it didn't, to being second only to linking, and a pretty close second, sort of maybe a 60-40. In 2013 and 2014, according to Search Metrics, and these guys measure in detail tens of thousands of sites, actually content dropped slightly as a ranking factor. Now, it was still great to have good content. You still needed it for click-through. You still needed it to build authority and brand. All of that good stuff. Again, remember what I said at the top of this. I'm only talking about SEO. Just SEO, just ranking your site. So content, both on your site and surrounding your links, actually dropped in importance, which is polar opposite of what the Moz guys and the White Hatters are saying. It was only a slight percentage drop, and it didn't drop in importance to links. What it was, social noise and social media actually stole a bit of the ground from content, which you could argue social media is content. It's user-generated content from authority sites. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, Reddit are authority sites, but there's a bit of confusion there, because aren't those also links? Isn't it? Although the pages that Facebook makes and LinkedIn makes are made on the fly, that they're generated as the user requests them, so Google can't read them as well as it can do with a static page. But aren't they still links? When somebody links to your page from LinkedIn or shares your shares your site on Facebook, that is a link. It's still a link. So it was a bit of one and a bit of the other. It's hard to actually say which is which, but that's what happened. Now, this is also gameable. And I've put spelling mistakes all over the place here. I've noticed I spelled relevant wrong back up there. Never mind. Here's the situation. On site today, you want your content to be unique, thorough, authoritative and trustworthy, because you want great click-through. If people don't click through your on-site content, you're not going to make any sales, are you? You need people to click through your CPA ads, to click through to buy your product, CPC, whatever it is for your banners that you've got there. You need them to click through, and people do not click through crap. That could be a little motto. People don't click through crap. They don't. So on-site needs to be brilliant. Off-site, you need it to be unique, and I'm doing little inverted commas here. Google's ability to spot spin is still virtually zero. As long as the content is contextual or relevant, and your only aim is to rank your site via the content that surround your links, then unique is all you want, which means spun works. It works as well now as it did 5 or 6 years ago. Contextual and relevant is an interesting one, in that if you're writing an article about, let's say, cell phones, Google would expect the content that surrounds this link to have words like cell, mobile, 3G, 4G, reception, bandwidth and all that. It would expect that to add context to it. So you can't just, for example, rip an article about, gardening and then just stick the word mobile phone in it 10 times. That won't work. It needs to have those little triggers which tell the search engines that content is contextual and relevant. I spelled it right for once. But I believe 2015 is the year that content gets parity. It may even slightly overtake links. And the reason I say this is because Google recently announced that PageRank has completely died. They haven't updated toolbar PageRank. Well, they've updated it once in about 18 months, and one of their major managers has stated back in November that they will not be updating it again, ever. Period. It's dead. So if you've built a PageRank, built a site in the last year, it's got PageRank NA. It will never achieve PageRank because they're never going to update it. So all new sites come with no PageRank, and they never will have PageRank. And so as a metric, it just loses its. And all new pages, of course, new pages will never get PageRank. If you add pages to your site, they will never achieve PageRank, toolbar PageRank. So 2015, probably because of that, as the year content gets parity. Important thing to remember here is on-site, unique, thorough, authoritative, trustworthy, because you need click-through. Off-site, unique, which certainly doesn't mean non-spun. Spun is fine. You need context and relevance, but Google's ability to spot spin is still virtually zero. The only way they do is if somebody manually looks at your links. They are terrible at it. They always have been terrible. They've never really made any effort that I can see ever to spot the content, to check the provenance of the content around links on third-party sites, and they still aren't, and they probably never will. On-site factors being what they are, this is just as important as this these days, but you need both. You need great links from high authority sites, and quite a few of them still, maybe not the millions you used to need, but still hundreds. And you need on-site great content, thorough content, and you need to promote click-through. So there's a little potted history, 10 minutes of SEO from the last 16 years and where it's heading. But the important thing to notice here is 2015 is the year content gets parity. I bet $50 on that. Catch me on BHW at the end of 2015 if that's not the case. And the first person to call me out on it gets the $50. ScrittyDemondemon.com, signing off.